We are recording. How are you today?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad, thank you. Where are you today? I mean, I can see you in your car. Whereabouts are you?
Yeah, well, I had to go back to I'm actually just outside Paris
Right.
because I'm getting ready to shoot some videos for my upcoming album and then off to London.
Wonderful. Are you coming back to London?
Yeah, yeah,
Lovely, lovely. Well, look, we're going to talk about your journey on this podcast and where you grew up and where you've moved. And I know that London does feature quite heavily in your life. But to start, I always kick the podcast off by asking guests a song that they regard as having the greatest ever intro, please.
yeah. So for me, the Verve, Bittersweet Symphony.
Yeah.
Ah, right.
Tell me why you chose that.
It's the first thing that came to my mind because of the like the strings just like this is for me is mind blowing. It's so beautiful and pure and so like dramatic and melodic, and it has everything. And also it's not what you would expect from even a pop song or something, but it's like yeah, it's the most beautiful intro for me for sure.
It's it's strange because if I'm correct, that is a sample, isn't it? That string section is a sample from a version of a Rolling Stones song from some classical record or classical interpretation of a Rolling Stones track. And so the
Yeah.
Verve didn't get hardly any royalties for arguably their biggest ever hit.
Oh,
The money
yeah.
went straight to Jagger and Richards.
Well, it's good we don't do it for the money, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a beautiful, beautiful record, and I think with that intro starts so soft and you can slowly hear the strings coming in, and like you just get that sort of elongated string, and then when you get that it's like
Yeah,
but it starts quiet as well, which is it builds and builds and builds, and then all of a sudden them strings sort of come to fruition, and then the when the drop comes with the beat, it's just
yeah,
anthemic, isn't it? It's such a punch in the face.
yeah. And it's classic. It doesn't get old.
Yeah, absolutely. That could come
Yeah,
out today, couldn't it? And nobody would question that. It's completely timeless. That's such a good shout.
yeah,
And I think it's impossible not to picture the video when you hear it. Just that iconic video of
yeah, for
Richard
sure.
Ashcroft just walking down the street. It's so simple yet so effective, and it works with that music.
Agree, 100%.
Yeah. Um, I'm always interested to know when you're walking through London or through Paris or wherever, and you've got your headphones on, are you picturing yourself in a music video?
No,
Really?
what do you mean? I'm pitching myself in a music video?
Like I can't not have music on my headphones, and if I'm not walking along, I'm in my own music video. It's all happening
Oh,
around me. Do you know what I mean?
no, yeah, for sure. Oh, all right, yeah, yeah, no, for sure. I was like, are you pitching yourself? Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, of course, because I mean, it's a movie, right? I mean, for me,
Yeah,
we live in a virtual world anyway, right? Everything is, it's what we make of it. So for sure, music enhance and creates a full world, right? Like a
yeah,
video game, 200%. Like this is, yeah. And I've always, I mean, that's how I make music for me, right?
yeah.
Like that's the way I compose. I make music that is going to take me to a place, right? It's like an opening, like a level of a game or something.
And I'm interested when I speak to pop writers and rock bands and stuff. I'm always interested in how the the way that people consume their music now is far different from how it was 10, 15, 20 years ago, insofar as the apps like TikTok now are becoming, important for pop bands to get their music out there in these sort of tiny little bite-sized sort of snippets of tracks, and the importance of featuring on Spotify playlists and things like that to get your music out there, and how that's kind of moving a lot of pop writers to really focus on grabbing a listener within like 5 seconds, because everybody's attention spans are so short now, and they want
Yeah.
the next thing because of technology.
Uh-huh.
As a composer that makes more beautiful sort of classical music, has that changed in any way, shape, or form for you? That the way that the shift in technology has to and the changing in in the shortening of attention spans. Do you know where I'm going with this question? Like, has it
Uh,
affected you as an artist?
I mean, I see where you're going, and I'm going to be very, very blunt and very blunt. I think it's all bullshit, and I think people are getting dumber and dumber. No, but it's true, like, don't get me wrong, socials can have a good function if we are in charge of them, and I think it can be a very good thing to connect with people, to spread some music and stuff. But right now, it's mental. It's
Yeah.
mental because it's changing. And a lot of, as you said, a lot of pop writers now are trying, okay, to grab the attention. But what the fuck? We make music. We're not here to, no, but it drives me mad because I'm like, we live in a society right now. It's just be famous, be big. So what do you think they do? Girls just show their boobs, their ass, anything they can, if they're hot, because like they get, millions of followers. I've never played the game, I mean, I've never played the game.
Yeah.
And if I do, and right now, even my label, everybody's pressuring me, get more active on social. So I'm definitely the worst person to talk, on that. But, and I said, well, all right, but I want to do it with something that is meaningful, meaningful to me, which is, the way I drive my life, the way I got out of my, shitty, upbringing, all stuff like that. But being meaningless as it is, right? In the West, where we just, we're being told just post as much as you can to be as big as you can. I mean, what kind of world is that? And then what does it mean? Does it mean that, oh, all right, so you're famous, so you're smart, so you're wise, so you're going to teach our kids, the values of the society of, 2025 or whatever? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. This is, and music, come on. Well, sorry, you see, don't get me started on this
No,
because
no, no.
it's
I agree. I completely agree, and I'm always interested to because it always sparks completely different reactions. And what you're saying, I agree with that. All of these things that are thrust upon that via social media, the one thing that kind of gets left at the back is the actual art, and
exactly,
and it's like everything else
exactly.
other than this beautiful creation that is the art. That's parks up there because you've got to be doing this to grab people's attention. So that's why I'm always intrigued as to what people's
Everything is
balance
about
is.
money. And that's
Yeah,
why I'm not playing this fucking game. It's money, money, money. But guys, what are you going to do with money once you die? Because you're going to die. And clearly right now we're going to die, maybe sooner than later. So what are we going to do? For me, we're here to evolve. We're here to try and be the best we can as human beings. Be kind, be compassionate, try and learn things, like push yourself, challenge yourself. And right now, the only challenge we're being told and to do is like, all right, have more followers, be bigger, do this. So people die every day of doing shit on socials, right?
yeah,
And so this I think probably more death than a lot of disease, if you see what I mean.
yeah,
It doesn't make any fucking sense. And for the art, I mean, the art is dying. But
yeah,
dude, I mean, I was signed my publisher with Cobalt, right? Like a big publisher, and I make music. So for me, first, we shouldn't even put people in a category or like, oh, you are pop music, you're hip. No, your music, that's it. And you make a song that can touch people or not, right? As
yeah.
simple as that. Because let's say, I know a lot of my fans actually are not fans of classical music at all.
Sure.
They're like, okay, you know what? I listen to Gotan Project, to Bjork, so it's music is music. And I'm sure even you right now in your collection, you have, well, I have some hip hop. I might have, some jazz. I have a lot of pop because, I'm a British East Londoner. And this is what we are. We're
Yeah,
not, in a little box where people want to put people in a box. And now we've got the box of social media. And for example, I got to Cobalt and I'm like, I make music. So, I've written songs as well. And they're like, oh, if you want to write songs, just copy everything that is in the charts because that's all of our artists, and they copy each other to make, the next hit song in the charts. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I want to make art. I make music. I'm happy, to maybe to a collab with someone that I admire, not because they're big, not
yeah,
because I mean, this is, you see, and honestly, if you do this, and if we have, people, musicians listening to us, and they're young musicians trying to make it, I mean, that's a big advice I would give, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I think it's very dangerous to do that
yeah.
because maybe you get one hit, but once you get a hit, what do you think? You think, oh, that's it, I'm there. No, you will never be there.
I
And
break
then you
that
have the
down.
stress.
I break that down to two things, right? I think like there's fashion, and there's style. And I think if you have a style and you don't compromise that style, you just work with that style, grow that style lasts forever. A pair of Levi 501s, right? You can wear them 20 years ago, you can wear them in 20 years' time. They'll still be stylish. Fashion,
Exactly.
that comes and goes in 15 minutes, and that 15 minutes of fame, you'll probably earn a lot of money in a very short space of time. But as you say, at the end of your life, so you've got a lot of money. Does that give you a legacy? Does that give you a body of work that people can look back over? If you make great art, when you're gone, people will still be able to admire and enjoy your art. And I think legacy is more important than music. Sorry, more important than money.
200%. And people, we need to educate kids. Come on, money is not everything. Money is the value you give. Yes, of course, you need just enough to be able to buy, your groceries and have a shelter. That's very, very important. But again, on socials, we only see the rich and famous, and that's being all around. And I think that's disgusting. We cannot elevate a society this way because, it's impossible. So we need people to step in and have, the bravery to say, come on, we can live together and have a better life, but not this way. And music, art right now for me is dying. It is dying. It's not, what is, what I mean? I mean, come on, like it's,
John, that's the most animated answer I've done 470 of these podcasts. That's the most animated answer I've ever had for that question. Thank you.
Sorry, I can't.
No, I love it. I love it, and I'm on board. I'm on board with what you're saying. I'm going to take you back though, and I'm going to ask you for track 2, please, to tell me the first song that you remember hearing that had an emotional impact on you, please.
So it was, I think, I can't remember when, but it was Video Games by Lana Del Rey.
Yeah. If you had to pinpoint what emotion you drew from that, what was it?
It was and it still is, a kind of a melancholia, but also something that is, I was saying, like, it was just the way it flows. Da, 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 da. That is it. Da, 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 da. It's kind of it flows, but it doesn't flow with happiness, not sadness. It flows with something just in the middle that is almost a kind of like fatality. You say that,
And that's not an easy thing to do, is it? Hit that sweet spot in between.
Yeah, no, it's not. I think that was absolutely brilliant. That was genius.
Yeah. So, while we're looking back, tell me about where you was born and where you spent your early years.
Well, so yeah, I mean, it does explain my music, and that's why today I talk about it. But of course, I mean, and also because I healed. But I grew up I had a shitty upbringing, but like a lot of us, right? So I'm not not bragging, or I'm not, but yeah, you see, I'm already speechless. I don't know how to express. I grew up in a cult, right? I grew up in a cult, and I didn't really have access to a lot of things. Of course, the physical abuse, emotional abuse, and the day of my 18th birthday, I left. I left the day of my 18th birthday. That's it.
Was this in France, Sean?
Yeah, that was in France, in the middle of nowhere, kind of. But also in that area, we were moving a lot, to get not to get really, caught or anything, because I mean I knew later when I was 18, actually. The police and the kind of secret services, told me, had a meeting with them, and they told me a lot more that I knew was happening in that, in that cult. So that was so I wasn't born in it, but I grew up in it, So I think it was around three, four that, my mother got us into it. And yeah, it was, I mean, it was really fucked up. Now the luck I had a little piano, little keys, at home. And when we moved, I always had something. And when I didn't, I was making it in my head, and I always made music. And that's my approach to music from the beginning. I didn't know that basically it was almost like an angel, giving me something to be able to cope and to survive. And because that's how I see it, It wasn't, and that's why I make still today this music. And also that's why I push. I mean, yeah, that's why I push and try to explain to people how I did it, and why I'm not unique and I'm not special. Everybody can do it, but most people don't know they can.
In regards to, you said there was a piano there, but I don't know how sort of isolated that your upbringing was, but was you sort of exposed to sort of popular music that
No.
was on the charts? You was that was kind of just not part of your life.
So that's the thing. No, we didn't have anything to play music at home, right? So I wasn't, I wasn't basically surrounded by music at all. Plus, at the time, because I'm 39, so in the 80s, we didn't have music in shops as much as we have now. Now music is absolutely everywhere, and I think it's driving people insane, without realizing it. It's too
Mm.
much. But at the time, you didn't. So I wasn't, but I think it was a really good thing actually, because silence is a huge source of inspiration, boredom as well. Because, they were telling me, I mean, it was fucked up, I mean, I got beaten up. You have 40 people around you beating the shit out of you and saying, like, yeah, you need to take the ego out of you, and you're 8, 9 years old, and you're like, what? No, I don't understand. And at the time, you're like, okay, I'm bad, I'm bad, I'm bad, I'm bad. And I grew up like this, right? And the only way I felt better was when I was making music, and I was making music all the time. They would put me on a chair for the whole day, not moving. You're not allowed to move again to take the ego out of you. So I wouldn't move, and 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 I would make music in my head. You know,
Was that a pure escapism?
it was a meditation. It was a meditation. And when I was making all these notes, then these notes, they were like putting themselves together. A bit like numbers create our reality, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I really believe that it was the same for me. And then it was taking me to a place, and in my own video game, right? In my own movie, to go back to the beginning of the conversation,
sure.
it's absolutely like this. It was like creating this safety. Wow, I'm on a cloud. I'm in my own world. I feel great. Da, 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 having this music. That's it. All the time. This, and because of, I guess, their bringing, when I was not doing that, I was counting all the time, and I still am today. So numbers all the time, absolutely, like it's an OCD, but counting absolutely everything, and everything has to be parallelism, geometric. It has to be perfect all the time.
John, I really appreciate you sharing that. I really appreciate you showing that sort of vulnerability to talk openly about that. Thank you. Um, for I mean, we're staying those sort of formative years, and for this track, I'd ask you to tell me the song that reminds you of your time at school, and tell us a little bit about school, because how was that growing up in a cult and having to school? Like, where was school?
I mean, so the guru of the cult allowed us to go to school because she was in a very big cult beforehand, before that. And she also did like 2 years of psychiatric, hospital. So when she created her own, she didn't want basically, have even more the police and everybody around. So we were going to school, but being really, told what to do, what to say, and fucked up in the head. So it wasn't, yeah, it was not very happy school, to be honest, at all, because I was not allowed, to have friends or to go to parties or to, and also everybody kind of knew in the school that I was in a cult, especially later, when I was a teenager. So it was, yeah, it wasn't great. But music at school, none, besides what I was doing, I was not listening to music. Never really, really listened to music
Was
that
there
much.
could you? I mean, as somebody that could play piano and such, was there opportunities to do that at school?
So it's funny you ask, because um, so in a French school, you always had a bit of music lessons, So that was it, but not really instruments you could play. However, when I was a teenager, at the school, they wanted to punish me, so they put me in a boarding school like 1 mile away from the castle, because we kind of grew up in a fucking whatever, and there was no piano there, and I mean, I was in very bad shape. I lost a lot of weight, like it was whatever. And I went to the director of the school and I asked, okay, can we get a piano? Like, she was like, well, we need signatures of people, like a petition. So if you can get like, I think it was 500 signatures. So I went, in the outside at the time of the break, and I made everybody sign. And 2 weeks later, I had a piano, and it was literally my piano, and it's still there today, to be honest.
Yeah.
Uh, And that was that was amazing because I was just playing, and I was lucky because as I was playing all the time, I don't think there is a secret, right? You where you put your intent, you put your energy, right? And then of course it's gonna work because that's what you do. And it started with an intent for me, right? Playing the piano. And my French teacher actually, found me a place to play. So when I was 18, I could go to this bar and get a bit of money. And my philosophy teacher loved it so much. He was taking me to conferences, because he also knew about the cult because he was paid by the police to give information that was not like officially said, but that's what they told me. So it was so fucked up, but the music, everybody could see that the music was really helping me. So
Yeah.
it became my little room of music, and that was that. It really helped me cope. It was really, really helped me. Yeah.
I generally ask guests what they wanted to be when they were at school, and I can't imagine where your head must have been at that point. School's hard enough for most kids to navigate their way through, let alone having to deal with what you was dealing with. But having somebody encourage that music and see your skills and your love of music playing the piano, did it always was there any other sort of option for you as a potential career, or any kind of goal looking forward other than music?
Um, you know what? I think because I was challenged very early, like in my life, I think that's how you develop. I think that's how you develop intelligence, right? If you're never challenged, then you cannot develop your intelligence, right? And I think that's what's happening with the socials.
Yeah,
But I was so challenged that I was smart, and school was very easy, and I was always being punished because I was a rebel, and I was writing. I would never do what I'm told to do because I hated it. And at the end of the day, now realizing it, I think it's because I was so unhappy, so I wanted help. But always had good grades, and 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 basically when I was 15, I was doing the philosophy homework of the 17 years old, when I was being punished, and you have to spend time in a, how do you say that in England, when they punish you and you've got 2 hours of, let's say work in an office or
yeah,
something or whatever. So I'm doing that. But it's so yeah, my teachers, everybody was like, wow, you need to do like, some very proper studies after baccalaureate, the A level. And I was like, no, I want to be a musician. And they thought that would be a massive waste. And they're like, you'll never make it, you'll never go anywhere, because that's the French mentality towards music as well. And I don't blame them. But for me, I was like, you know what, my life is shit. I'm not going to spend, uh, like my whole life doing something I don't want to do. I just want to play music, and I'll
yeah,
get where I want to be. That's it. And I was like, I have nothing to lose. Well, what the heck, would I do anything else? But they were pushing me. They were like, please go and do like, this preparation to like these big schools and blah blah blah. And I was like, I don't care.
yeah,
I didn't care. I never did. And honestly, and today, to be honest, I would say even the same to kids. I mean, look, even the system, the whole thing is rigged. I mean, come on, fuck. But look, like with pandemic, they just gave them, yeah, you can do it online. So, all right, so you do it with YouTube next to you, and then that makes you having a grade, right? And then what? And then you're gonna be a doctor? I mean, you're gonna have surgery on me because you use YouTube. So, well,
Okay, I'm going to ask you for track four. You're pleased to tell me the first record you remember buying from a record store.
Parachutes from Coldplay.
I mean, that's a good start.
That's Yeah. And I'd never forget because I mean, I don't know if you heard the story, but basically, I was again 18, and a lot of things happened when I was 18. But so I'm on the street. I have no family to go to because I'm emancipated. They closed the door. I mean, whatever. So I'm just like, fuck, I have no friends really. I'm just like, and I'm on the street listening to that album, in Paris, because I moved to Paris to try and get, work, and you know and I was crying. I'll never forget because I was crying all the tears of my body. And as you said, sometimes you feel in a movie, but then I became outside of the movie, and I was saying myself how absurd and ridiculous it was, and how cliche it was for me to just walk down the street crying, listening, to Coldplay. and the snow and in winter and around Christmas. I was like, fuck, there is everything, and yeah, that album just stayed with me for a whole year, basically, a whole year. It was so emotional and very beautiful, and yeah, that was amazing.
It's crazy that that you bought your first record at like 18 years of age. It's crazy. It's like obviously so many people are just getting, buying like CDs and things when they're small children, and the fact that it took you
Yeah.
because of your situation to the age of 18 before you could go and like get music. That's yeah. I
Well,
mean, if you,
it's crazy for you, but for me, no, because it's
of
all I
course,
knew,
yeah, of
So,
course,
but
yeah.
when you say that, I'm like, oh fuck, that was crazy. you know, so, so yeah, it's funny because yeah, it is now. Now I realize, and I have kids, and I'm like, whoa, that's not fair. But
Yeah,
for me, it's normal, and that's the problem of cults, and I think we've got more around, that people even realize.
yeah,
Because even in the society, everybody is his own. I mean, look at brands, right? For you, maybe I don't know, maybe a Longchamp bag is wow. For some people it's shit, and they think no, Burberry is the way to go, and it starts like this, having all this little, view of things, societies. I mean, look how, for me, it's a sect a bit, the US right now, right? You've got the Democrats on one side, the Republicans on the other. They hate each other, they kill each other, and what the fuck? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. We're all
yeah,
humans at the end of the day. We should be able to have views and things, but everything is dividing humanity at this point right now. It's very dangerous, and I think that's how a cult starts.
yeah. Absolutely. Certainly when when the world is in a bad place, and society's crumbling and people are feeling vulnerable and weak, that's when lots of people start to sort of take full advantage of that situation. And that's when not just cults, but that's when you see when there's I was reading something the other day about the rise in sort of like right wing extremists and neo-Nazi groups preying on you know poor, confused, lost young people that that are the outcasts and from society, that are the people that get ignored. That these kind of right wing groups target the vulnerable like that, and bring them in, and we see it with terrorist organisations as well. It's how they operate, and yeah, and I think unfortunately I do think there's more of that to come, because I think certainly in the UK at the moment, like it's pretty rubbish. It's not a good place to be.
No, 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 but and nowhere in the world right now. I mean,
Yeah,
look, I mean, in France right now, it's a mess. Everything. I think you've got loads of. I mean, look at Credit Suisse in Switzerland. I read, the New York Post yesterday saying, like uh, corruption, right? I think money. For me, there is no conspiracy. People, it's a conspiracy. I mean, guys, yeah, conspiracy is money. That's it. For money, people are ready to do whatever, and look today. And as you said, absolutely. But look, the way we cannot even talk about it. And look, I'm even like reluctant to talk about anything towards politics and religion, and because you the problem of those socials is, as you say, the 5 second, attention. We
yeah,
cannot have a conversation in 5 seconds about those topics.
yeah,
And the problem is everybody is trying to have a 5 second conversation about
yeah,
politics, religion, gender, whatever it is. And that's a massive problem, because
yeah,
then, people get upset, they can't focus, they get nuts, and then we're going to end up in a World War III, in a year's time. I mean, yeah, that's why we need to focus on music, which is a good way to unite people, and
absolutely,
you
absolutely.
know and love. I really think love can save the world. I really, really think so, because if we're more compassionate, and at the end of the day, what do you and I, what do we want? We want to have a peaceful life,
Yeah,
making music, because you seem to be a music guy yourself. You're right.
of course.
And the rest with your family and your friends. That's it.
You want to love and be loved, right?
Absolutely. And I think that most people right now are not being loved, don't have the necessary love. And because of that, then they start, having other, you know, interests in life.
Yeah,
Because I think everything starts with the lack of love. And I see it with my mother. I ended up in a cult because my mother, when she grew up, her mother left her when she was 2 years old. She was raised by her, basically, her grandmother, right? Her father, my mother's father, was like a French intellectual. He remarried quickly. The woman didn't really want my mother and her sister. You know what I mean? So, and then my mother always looking for love, always looking for, God. She believed in God, and she still does. And she did, and she trusted somebody who told her, look, I know God, and I'm going to help you. And of course, at the beginning, she was nice. She taught her a lot of stuff. My mother was very young. And then, it happened what happened. It all starts, see what I mean? It's a,
Yeah.
and there was no conspiracy. It's just the way, things goes. And I think that's what is going on right now. Look, if you say to black people, oh, it's because of the white are rubbish. I mean, if you say that to them, a lot of people are very smart and they're going to think, come on, you can't say that. And some people are going to say, oh, yeah, you're right. And then they're going to say that to their kids. We're going to say that to the kids. And then you're fucked. And vice versa, right? It's like saying to black people, white people, oh, look, he's black. Fuck you. You can't say that. That's wrong. And that's everywhere, right? It's in the West, but it's also in Africa, right? And it's, I mean, look at, so again, I think really love, and making music, but making real music, getting people in a state of love, a state of mind, of peace. Come on, we do it together because we do breathe the same air.
I want to.
Sorry, I got very deep, right? I got
No,
very deep.
no. This is fascinating, and I can't. I don't want you to compromise anything you want to say. I want you to be completely open and honest, and I'm this is a wonderful chat. Buying music at 18 for the first time. I'm also curious to know that as a young lad, not going to parties and things like that. Tell me about what it was like, and we'll tie it into the next track, which is the song soundtrack going clubbing. How was that to find yourself in a nightclub for the first time and being exposed to loud music and all of the things that I guess most people are already kind of used to by going to parties and being around friends and loud music.
I mean, surreal. To be very honest with you, not fun because I wasn't even drinking at the beginning, and I felt like in a zoo. I was like, why are people acting like this? I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, but yeah, because I was sober. I've never seen it. I was like, whoa, that's a bit weird. Um, but the music, of course, having very loud music straight away put you into a mood. But a few years later, and that was in the UK, actually in Oxford, right? When I ended up studying in Oxford Brookes, that's where I started clubbing and having a lot of fun, I mean, because it's when you, of course, when you drink, and especially me, I was, drinking and blah blah blah. I was like, I started drinking in the UK too, to be honest, and in actually in Oxford, and and yeah, the music with with the drugs, because for me alcohol, I mean, I don't drink anymore, to be honest. It's been 10 years now because it wasn't working for me. But by the time when I was doing it, I, it's a tricky question because I did enjoy it for a short term, but then I was regretting it the next day because I would never. I had so much trauma, man. Like so much trauma that I would not remember what I've done the previous night. I would wake up with a broken nose. I had the back of my skull opened. Like I woke up in blood in my bed. I mean, I thought I was gonna die. I mean, I had like, so it wasn't working for me at all. But those of the few minutes of being a bit, like tipsy with the music, bam, of course, that was insane. But it wasn't worth, the damage for me because I
Yeah,
I was too damaged. I could, and yeah, it wasn't good for me. I think today I can still, I mean, I don't really go anymore, but when I do, because I do sometimes, of course, have a bit of fun. I like, the people, the atmosphere. But the drinking, yeah, for me doesn't really work, really. So, but I would say not one song, I would say two songs though,
okay,
which is, that I would say Kings of Leon, Sex on Fire, because I think it's a fucking great clubbing song. And the
absolutely.
Killers, right? And the Killers, somebody told me, I mean, wow.
I mean, they're
Insane.
both absolute like student indie club classics, aren't they? Like, there's
Yeah.
nothing right. They're both absolute, and I mean, as much as people look at the Kings of Leon and that song as, as a guitar, as a rock song. It's a perfect pop song as well. The verse and the chorus, it's so full of hooks, as is the case with Somebody Told Me. It's just
Yeah,
tailor
yeah,
made to like hear it once and it's in there and it's stuck there. It's perfect pop.
yeah. It's great. Love it. Absolutely. I love both. That's why I couldn't pick one because like
Yeah,
it really is two.
love it, love it. Right, I'm going to take you home, and I'm going to ask you to tell me a favourite song from an artist from your home county, please.
Have you heard of Gotan Project that I
I have.
mentioned earlier? I love Gotan Project, and I think it's a shame that they're not working together anymore. It's anyway, Differente, I think is
Yeah,
it's so fucking cool. It's
yeah,
like I love this because it's kind of in my world in the sense that it's like you've got this kind of world music because I love music as a whole. I don't like boxes. I can absolutely love like those pop songs for example for sure. I love everything that I cannot say I love everything that's good because that would be very pretentious. But I love something that makes me feel something. That's the
yeah.
most important.
But
And
that's
Gotan
what music
Project,
is, right? That should
yeah,
be that feeling,
yeah,
whether it's melancholy, whether it's joy. It's like if music connects, then that's good music, right?
yeah, 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 absolutely. And that's why, right? It can be sometimes very, very different stuff, and that's what I love about music is sometimes, oh wow, that makes me feel something, and as you said before, fashion and style, and that's for me towards the style. If you do something that is true to yourself and you listen to something that is true to yourself, because the problem of fashion music, you know, never last. Of course, you can bang it, like with the labels, 20 fucking thousand times a day, and of course people are gonna end up liking it, for sure.
Yeah,
But it doesn't mean it will last, forever, because then it's that's why it's the perception as well. I mean, it's a long philosophical, thinking, but
yeah.
right there is something there. So yeah, no, Gotham Project Different is absolutely love that, absolutely love that.
Wonderful choice. Wonderful choice. Right. This is your last track, and this is where you can um be a tastemaker and turn people onto something new. And I'm going to ask you for track 7, please, to tell me a song that you think many people may not know that you would like them to hear.
So as I don't have a huge, pop culture, I didn't pick a pop culture effect, a song that I heard in a as a soundtrack of a movie called, I think it was The Gardener, a long time ago, called Ayub Ogada. It's an African guy, and the song is called Obiero, like Obiero, and I think it's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah,
I think
it's
it's very beautiful.
when you
You heard,
sent the I have when you sent the list over, I went through them and
all
it's a
right.
beautiful, beautiful record.
Right, isn't
Yeah,
it? It's like it's yeah, it's really, yeah, I think it's really cool, and very, and again for me it makes me go somewhere, and that's what I
yeah,
love about music. That's why I loved that track and the album is amazing. Yeah.
lovely. John, we make it really easy for people to go and listen to that because we put together a little Spotify playlist to accompany today's episode, so people can go and listen to all of the records that we've spoken about today and go and explore them. Um, so tell me a little bit about what you're up to now and what's going to be happening over the next few months with your music.
Oh, and wow! I mean, I'm touring. I'm coming back to the UK at the end of the year. I think 18th of November, for a show at the Queen Elizabeth. So I'm really looking forward to that. I love playing in the UK because I just did a tour, in the UK. That was really cool. And it's my home, I mean, I've got a
Yeah,
British passport. I spent, even though I've got a bit of an accent, I spent 17 years right in the
yeah,
UK. So yeah, I love the UK. It's more my home than France. I mean, I don't spend much time in France, to be honest with you.
yeah,
I live kind of, I mean, between London and Portugal,
yeah,
now. Spend it because I've got two little kids. So yeah, I've got my new upcoming album coming. I've been working with strings on that. So I've got also some orchestral stuff, and so I'm really excited about this one. And yeah, the tour, and some projects as well. I've got a little collab with, might have heard as well, with Lana Del Rey. I'm on her next album, which is really exciting. And I think what she did was beautiful. To be fair, the beautiful thing, I think, of not, as I've not been into the kind of like, this way of brought up, like most people, I have a different, thing with everything that is either showbiz, industry or whatever.
Yeah.
When they told me about, oh yeah, Lana Del Rey, like she wrote something on one of your pieces, and I was like, all right, that's cool. And at the same time, I was like, whoa, that's my music. Don't touch my music. What are you what are you doing? I was like, oops. And then they sent it over, and I was really worried. I was like, because and it was beautiful. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
okay, that's beautiful. And I liked, what she did before. But when it comes to my music, it's personal. You know what I mean? There
Yeah.
is no right. It's of course it's your baby. It's like asking me. Oh, people ask me that all the time. Like, oh, which one of your pieces is your favorite? I'm like, well, it's like if you ask me which one is my favorite child.
Yeah.
It's a bit tough.
Absolutely. But how
Depends on
beautiful to go full circle from video games being like one of the first records that really sort of touched you to fast forward X amount of years, and now you're working with Lana Del Rey. That's wonderful.
Life is life is just, it's weird, right? I mean, it's weird and it's beautiful, and that's why I think the most important is always be positive.
Yeah.
Force yourself to be positive. Say it out like, come on, I am good. I'm a good person. I'm happy. Because when you do this, you put your, and yes, it's crazy for me. Look, Lana Del Rey, I mean, Chris Martin as well, right? I mean, he got me a piano like 10 years ago, when I met him, at this party. I mean, I was asked to play a piece of music at that party, and 10 years prior to that, I was on the street listening to Coldplay, not even thinking in my mind that be possible. I mean, right? That's why you never know what life can bring you. But I
Yeah.
think if you give yourself to life, and you surrender yourself to something bigger than you, which is for me nature, right? That's what for me, as Einstein would say, right? If When he was asked, okay, do you believe in God? He said, but first define what you mean by God, and then
Yeah.
I would tell you if I believe in it or not. And that's why I always say to people, I'm like, yeah, for me there is a God, but it's not this person, with its authority. For me, it's more of a vibration. It's more nature. It's more love, right? Because when you are like this, you're happy, you're
Yeah.
good, and then it's a video game, then, right? Anything can happen.
Jean, this has been an absolute delight. I can't thank you enough for coming on today and doing the podcast. It's honestly been one of my favourite episodes I've ever had. It's been an absolute delight talking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
You
Bye.
too. I'm going to press stop. Don't go anywhere.